She a talk to me, and me a talk to she. But the day is coming that we must meet personally. She a talk to me, and me a talk to she. But the day is coming that we must meet.
And good morning. It is not April Fool's yet, so it's still March 31st. But I just got something in the mail the other day that I have been waiting for 4 months for. Four, you can imagine the word. 4 freaking months. For my new King shocks.
I'm feeling so hollow, don't you know? Don't you know? I'm living in shadow, don't you know? Don't you know? I fell for fool's gold, I fell for fool's gold. What did I know? What did I know? I fell for fool's gold, I fell for fool's gold. What did I know?
My rear King shocks. I placed these orders right after Thanksgiving back in November, end of November, maybe the first week of December, and I just now got the rear King shocks with the remote resis and adjusters on them. Literally 4 months later. I actually went through Boss 4x4s that a lot of Toyota people go through. Great Vender, Darren, and all them, Nigel. Great people. I don't blame Boss 4x4s at all. Not one bit. They were completely transparent the whole time. And about the whole situation. But it's just pretty much large orders of Kings during the Christmas break came in to the King off-roading, and they couldn't fulfill any custom orders as quickly as they're participating, I guess, or anticipating. So it took an extra 2 months on top of that, 2.5 months. I mean, granted, I guess 2 months out of the 4 months, or a month and a half, they couldn't start building them anyways because they needed the measurements in the rear for them to actually custom make the 3+ inches. They're +3 inches compared to normal, just regular King shocks. Because in the rear I added the Atlas +3 inch Expedition leaf packs, or leaf springs, completely leaf springs. So they wanted complete measurements of sitting height and full droop before they would build the custom shocks. So can't really blame either side too much, but Kings took a little longer at the end than I wanted, but overall we'll get the work done today and have her complete after a 4 months process. Peace. Okay, got the working on the driver's side, rear driver's side. Got the tire off, blah blah blah. Got the temporary Bilstein shocks that Boss 4x4s let me borrow. Actually, I want to shout out that thank you so much for lending me an extra Bilstein shocks for when I added the extra leaf pack. Not leaf pack. Why do I keep calling it leaf pack? The Atlas Expedition +3 inch leaf pack, and yeah, they lend me these Bilstein shocks for temporary use until I get the rear King shocks, and I don't think they're made for, in the rear right now I have like 4 inches of lift, but I don't think they're made for a 4-inch lift, but because they were pretty compressed, I'm sure I bottomed out actually a couple times, and those Bilsteins were the limiter. But thank you so much for letting me borrow it. But now working on the Kings, and the King remote resi with adjusters on it. I was actually stumped for a while because they gave me, where'd that bracket go? They gave me this bracket for the remote resi, and I was like, where do you mount this sucker to? Because there's nowhere to bolt this thing up with the same pattern. I was like, man, there's nothing on the top of the frame, underneath the frame, it lines up. I was like, upside down. I was like, no way. And then there's like no YouTube videos how anyone installed it. Then I just kind of searched or Googled King rear shocks on Tundra, and then I came across a tab that these things are mounted to up here. I was like, there's no tabs on this liner. I was like, nothing there. But then I crawled underneath there, or stuck my head under there a little further, and I found out if you pop that clip out, and there's tabs, and there's one on this side too, which I'm assuming, because I don't know, most people know that, but your rear shocks are actually flip-flop mirrored over the axle housing, so your rear driver is going to be facing angled up forward towards the truck, and your rear passenger, actually the shock rears faces towards the back of the truck. So I guess it flip-flops, and that's where this will play an effect for the remote resis. So on the passenger side, the remote resi will go over there, and the driver, it goes on this rear one, just because of the hosing, and I mean, you can't have it that close, it'll kink up the hosing. So awesome fit up. It actually fits perfect. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Just bend this fucker up. But it's like perfect alignment actually. The holes line up really well. I don't think you see that. Hard to do with one hand. So I'll continue on now, since it should be all just quick bolt ups. And there she is, all 4 Kings mounted on the truck. So for the rear, finished the rear up the other day. This is what it looks like from the outside. So you can see the adjustable coil, the adjusters, or the remote reservoir. So it actually came with all the way to the soft inside, so it was super soft. So I made it 2 clicks back on both sides, just to firm it up a little bit. I am getting a slight vibration with this rear bumper. It actually changed the way the truck drove with the way, because it's so many. I guess it reinforced the whole rear end of the truck, or I guess it used to flex before in the rear, like at the end of the members back here. But now that I guess it's reinforced further down the frame, I'm actually getting a weird flex about right here in the middle of the truck. I can kind of feel the truck flexing, which normally I guess you wouldn't really feel, because it's flexing in the rear back here, the 2 main frame members. But oh yeah, I guess I haven't really showed y'all, but yeah, this is the finished bumper. It was actually designed for 2 5-gallon jerry cans, but it could actually fit 3, or the small Brody Yeti cooler just for that swing out. Full 37-inch tire spare. It just barely covers the corner, the tail light, so you can't really. So it is legal, but it's a pretty tight fit. And I just picked up this $10 trailer hitch 3rd brake light, because you can't see mine because the rooftop tip's covering the 3rd one on the cab. So I wanted that to be legal, because the R is supposed to have 3, at least a 3rd one. And yeah, same thing on this side. 2 clicks on the firm side, towards the firm side. It was all the way to the soft side. So that's what it looks like. mounted. Probably have like 3 inches of down travel, but this thing actually has a shit ton of up travel. I guess where the truck can drop down, tire can go up, 3 inches of up travel for the tire, then probably like 10 inches of droop. There's a lot of droop on this thing. This leaf, Atlas leaf springs actually gave it a lot more droop capabilities, so I'll be able to keep 4 tires on the ground for majority of the time while off-roading, because that's usually the biggest thing, you can't get the flex. So here's the fronts. I haven't really shown the fronts yet, but I've had the fronts mounted about 3-4 weeks prior now. I just haven't shown y'all what it looks like. So it's kind of muddy and dirty. First weekend I got it on, went off-roading in South Carolina. But yeah, those band straps right there, CV bootstrap bands, was the biggest bitch. Cost me like 2 weeks of downtime on the truck for like an 80-cent part. Stupid, but it's all done now. It's all done. Made notches in the brackets because of my Expedition 1 reinforcement bracket for the bumper. And these I haven't played around with the front adjusters yet. But the real point I got these adjusters were to so I can adjust it on the fly. So while I'm off-roading, I don't have to air down too much. Makes ride softer because, man, riding over rocks, man, it just, with Old Man Emus, it was just teeth chattering the whole time. Absolutely hated it so much. And that's how she sits. I'll give you all a pan to the front. 3.5 inch lift. Pan to the driver's side. 3.5 inch lift in the front. About 4 inches in the rear. And you already have that 2-inch rake, so really the rear sits up about 2.5 inches taller than the front. Or wait, I'm doing my math right. 2 inches taller in the rear than what it is. Give you what the rear looks like. Doesn't look as tall because I'm standing in grass. That's like 3 inches taller. A lot of ground clearance. Huge plus for off-roading while getting a high clearance bumper. It makes it just dragging ass. I mean, normally I've only dragged it once before because I got stuck in a gully, kind of a ravine, where the ravine wasn't wide enough. So by the time I got my front end down, was cross-skin, the front tires were coming up, my rear end was dropping down, so I was pretty much pinned. So that's how she looks.